Hello everyone, my name is Aimee. I am the Black Cat Stitcher here on YouTube and on Instagram, and welcome to my Flosstube channel. This is a channel where I talk about, my hobbies, including cross-stitch, knitting, and reading, and yeah, that's pretty much all of the introduction, I suppose. Welcome to everybody who is new. And welcome back to all of you who are returning viewers and subscribers. So yeah, today I'm going to do my February monthly update, and I'm going to be talking about all of the WIPs that I worked on during the past month of January / the beginning of February. And I'll show off my knitting WIP and talk about some reading for the first time in a long time. And also, I do like to apologize for the lighting situation. It's kind of a foggy, gloomy day outside, and usually I rely on the natural light that comes from the windows that are just over there. But I'm not getting much from there, so I've got, my little, lamp on the side table on to, hopefully help, but it might be a little bit harder to see what I've got going on today. But let us, I guess, go through what I did for the past month in terms of cross stitch. For the majority of the month of January, I had already completed my WIPs for WIPGO for January, I believe. I might have had like 200 stitches left on Human Anatomy, my final, but I did not bring that over here to show you, because to be honest, you wouldn't really be able to tell what 200 stitches looks like, because I do cross country within the Q-snap, and it looks like, it probably looks exactly the same to your eyes. But I did complete that goal and check it off my WIPGO board. In fact, I'll pop up a little screenshot there of what my WIPGO board looks like currently. You can see the called for numbers for February, and that I have, in fact, finished one of the goals for the called for February, which was Horse by Light Unicorn Designs. It's supposed to look like this, and this is what it looked like the last time you saw it on my 2023 WIPGO, or not WIPGO, WIP Parade video. But here is what she looks like now. Essentially, I was working on, let me take it out of the Q-snap kind of so that you can see the whole thing. But I was working on filling in the body here, and I did 1,000 stitches, and I completed this last night, actually. So I'm going to now put this back in my storage situation, and come bring it back out when it's called again for the next WIPGO. One thing that I didn't realize is exactly how far I am on this project. I mean, I knew I had done a lot up in the front of the horse here to complete it, but I'm like over 80% done with this. So I don't know what percentage another 1,000 stitches is going to bring me up to, but to be honest, if I'm able to complete my finished goals for this year, I might, for next year's WIPGO board, have this as a full finish project, because you know, it's just so close. Why not? And if I'm able to successfully complete my finish goals, probably prior to the end of 2023, I might pick that up and focus on that like I did last year at the end of the year for what was the snake project that I did, which wasn't a finished goal last year, but I was able to finish my birthday and Christmas gift stitches, you know, before the end of the year. So I was able to pick that up and also finish that one. So maybe that will be the fate of the horse, which is crazy because I literally just started that in December of this year. And dang, I'm already over 80% done with that. So anyway, back to the month of January. Prior to when the WIPGO numbers were called, I was working on my focus prep piece, which is a gift for my mom. So if you are my mom, you need to leave. Anyways, this is what I'm working on for my mom. This is a red iris, charted by Whoopicat / Annette Swartzmiller on Etsy, and charted by her, and then it's based off of an illustration by Mary Golay, who was an Art Deco illustrator, who was apparently famous. I googled her, recently, just because I was curious. Well, actually, there's another reason why I googled her, but I'll explain that later in my plans video, or portion of the video. But anyway, she was famous for her paintings of flowers and of pretty ladies. But anyway, this is what the red iris looked like before I started stitching on it. And I made a lot of progress on this. And here is where we're at now. Ooh, I don't know if I can fit this all in the frame. But anyway, I was able to fill in, let's see, let's focus in on this. I was able to fill in this flower, or finish filling it in, and then I moved over here to finish that border on the side, and I moved down and started working in my loose parked threads here at the bottom, and I'm still in the process of doing so, but I'm almost got them all worked in. And then I'm gonna start working on the very last portion, because I have officially reached the bottom. This is the bottom of the piece right there. So I'm gonna pick this back up, because what I've been doing is I've been taking, you know, a separate project to work with me, because I do a little bit of stitching over my lunch hour, and I keep my focus project on my Lowry stand here at home. So I'm not going to be necessarily focusing on this one for the month of February, because of course WIPGO screwed me and they picked the hardest goal that I have, perhaps, for the shortest month of the year. And that would be a page finish on this, which is the full-sized max color version of Museum Shelf by Aimee Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. Which is a lot of confetti, a lot of stitches, and it's a lot of work. You know, I might not finish that goal within the month of February, but I will try my hardest. Plus, it doesn't really matter. WIPGO is more of a way to organize my yearly goals for me. This is still on my Q-snap, so just give me a second. to detach it. All right. So here's what it looked like when I started at the beginning of this month. So essentially I've worked in the hanging threads that were over here on the bottom side. And yeah, I'm just gonna keep working in colors, starting to figure out, I think, what this painting was meant to be. Because of course I'm not using the what it's supposed to look like picture as a reference. And you know, while I was stitching my first page on this, I was like, what the heck is this supposed to be? But I think I figured it out. I think this is supposed to be, what is it? The Birth of Venus by Botticelli. Essentially, it's that one famous painting where there's the naked lady standing in a shell who is meant to be Venus. Yeah, I can't... This up here in the corner, I had assumed that was a tree, like a jungle tree in Africa, and this was going to be like a scene of, you know, giraffes and zebras and stuff, you know, hanging out in the African savannah. But that's, I don't know. I'll put up a picture here of what the painting is. It's the dude with the cape, the blue cape thingy that's up in the corner. But that, I mean, when you look at this from up close, it does not at all look like a human person. But that's okay. That is, at least I know what it's meant to be, I suppose. But it still looks kind of like a weird tree to me. So anyway, that is Museum Shelf. And I'm going to keep working on finishing this page. And hopefully, by my next Flosstube, you'll see another page finish on this. And I think I've officially decided, I suppose, that I'm going to do, you know, diagonal page finishes across the piece. Because my 3 favorite shelves, in no particular order, is the shelf that has Egypt, ancient Egypt, then there's the dinosaur one, and then I think it's like history of Asian countries, or the region of Asia shelf. So of course the dinosaur and the Egypt one are on the bottom 2 shelves, and this, doing it diagonally, will help me reach those faster. I'll still get to the Egypt one because that's the bottom right corner. I'll still get to that one relatively late in my journey. But, you know, at least I'll be able to work on the dinosaur one relatively soonish, hopefully, if I keep doing my, you know, diagonals. But anywho, that is what I have accomplished in terms of cross stitch this past month. Now we're going to move on to my knitting whip, which is this. It is the rock and roll blanket. And I am, let's see, let me folder. So, because it's just easier for me to show the folded version rather than, you know, the whole thing. When I'm done with it, I promise I'll show the whole thing. But this is where I'm at. The last time you saw this, I had just started this reddish orange stripe. And I didn't do too much this month with this. I've just essentially completed the orange stripe. Because I was really focused on my flower for my mom. But anywho, but I did complete my goal, which I've set, which is a stripe a month. And I hope to continue that trend and finish another stripe for the month of February. Alrighty. Next, we'll talk plans for my whips for the rest of the month of February. Like I just said, like 2 seconds ago, I'm going to finish one more stripe on my knitting project, and it's a cool pinky peach color. I'm going to continue on my museum shelf piece, and I'm going to work towards my page finish / I'll put up the word. I'm also doing the acrostics challenge from the 24 hours of cross stitch Facebook page, and the word for this month is serendipitous, and I've selected my I guess keywords to match my HAED, because I'm not going to probably work on my flower all that much, to be quite honest, because a page finish on a HAED is a task. Anywho, I'm also, this year, besides WIPGO and the acrostics, I'm doing the 2023 Stitch for Pride challenge. And this month, prompt for stitching is to work on my brain is super foggy. To work on a whip that is designed or has a part of it that is created by a African American Black creator, and / related in some way to African American history, or African history in some way. So that's why I Googled Mary Golay. I wanted to know a little bit more about Mary Golay and about all of the shops that I have purchased patterns from. So I was trying to figure out if they would, I even looked on, because I have some specialty, hand-dyed floss from Etsy. I also looked at those to see if they were, done by, an African-American creator. By going essentially to their Etsy pages, store pages, and looking in the About tab, I tried to find that information. But with some of them, I was unsuccessful. So I don't necessarily know 100% if any of the patterns that I'm currently working on or that I currently own have any connection to an African American creator in any way. I forgot to look up my fabrics. I should have done that. I'll do that anyway, after this video. Yes, Hirsch. Yes, I'll do the fabrics, but I also already purchased something that has been on my wish list on 123 Stitch for a hot minute, ever since it was released. It is the, Rosanna, I think, or Rowena Dizery, a reproduction sampler by ABC Works. I'll put her real name at the bottom because I'm blanking on her first name. But you all know and love this. This is a reproduction sampler of a sampler created by a young African-American girl who was going to a school, and that was a part of her schooling, is to, learn how to do needlework. And this is the sampler that she produced. And it's important because there aren't very many reproduction, sampler patterns out there, / there aren't very many samplers out there that were created by an African American. So that is why I chose to purchase this. So it is on its way from 123 Stitch to me, and hopefully I will be able to start that and do 1,000 stitches on it. I will also, now that I know that I forgot to look up my fabric dyers that I've got, purchases from. I'm going to try and do a little research on them. And if they are, African American, I will also choose those projects and stitch on those briefly. And that we'll see what happens. But for now, I'm going to be doing that prompt by stitching or starting the Rowena Dizery sampler. So that'll be my probably one and only traditional sampler that I ever do. I always kind of wanted to give one a shot because, a lot of the people that I watch here, that's their deal, is they do samplers, whether they're reproductions or, just based off of, sampler motifs. The only other sampler I have is that long dog, which is, not traditional looking at all. Because it's based on ancient Egypt and their motifs. So, yeah, those are my cross-stitch plans / plans in general. Now, we're kind of done with my crafty part of the video, and we're going to be moving on to my second hobby, reading. So what we're doing, what I'm reading currently is called Triptych by insert author's name here / the cover of the book. It is the novel that, was the inspiration, I guess, for the new Will Trent TV show that is out now. I have not watched the TV show, but my mom has, and she wanted to read this book with me. So that's what we're reading. And I like it. It's a little bit sad in general, because a large portion of the book that I've read so far is about, well, I assume he's innocent, but an innocent young man who was charged in the state of Georgia with murder at the age of 16. So he, at the age of 16, spent time in the adult jail, and I think he said in the book, it was 20 years. He spent 20 years in jail from the age of 16, and now he's released from jail. He's out on parole, and he's like, how do I describe him? He's like a 16-year-old that's stuck in a grown man's body. That's how he comes off to me, at least. And he's very awkward. He doesn't know what to do, and he doesn't understand certain, ways of the world, since it's changed so much since he's been in prison. But essentially, we're working towards, kind of in a roundabout way, figuring out who actually murdered the girl that he was accused of murdering, or convicted of murdering. Because at this point, and where I've read it, I don't believe that he is the murderer. So we'll see what happens, and if he ends up actually, being the murderer, and I'm absolutely wrong. But anyway, the book, surprisingly, thus far that I've read, does not feature Detective Will Trent as heavily, as I would have expected. And my mom has also mentioned to me that what little we've seen of this Will Trent guy in the book so far doesn't really necessarily match, in her mind, what the guy who plays Will Trent on the TV show, is like. So, yeah, that's what I'm reading, and I look forward to seeing the conclusion. I have a long drive tomorrow to Casper, which is a city like 2 hours from where I'm at, having a doctor's appointment at the hospital there. Just a checkup, no worries, I'm fine. It's just my yearly wellness exam, essentially. But I do have a 2-hour drive ahead of me, probably more, depending on weather. Or, yeah, or I might just not go because of weather also, because that highway, they do close it sometimes for like, blowing snow and bad weather. So the highway might be closed. In fact, one of my friends here recently had to go to Casper, and they got turned around like partway through their journey because the road was closed. So that was fun. It was, in fact, at the beginning of this week when that happened, and it was closed because of blowing snow. So we shall see if I actually get to Casper, but theoretically, if all goes well, I will have a drive to listen or finish because I do listen to my audiobooks at 2 times speed, because I don't know, it just works better for me, because I don't know, I guess when it's at regular speed, it just goes too slowly for me. I also listen to most of my videos on YouTube on 2 times speed. I don't know why, but I like it that way. Anywho's, that is all for me today. I will see you guys at the beginning of March. And yeah, I'll hopefully have a page finish and a new start. Bye!